Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so as co-organizer of the series, I'm really delighted to welcome Teresa Fidelis of the Universidade de Aveiro in Portugal. And yeah, we co-authored an article some years ago, which is how we first met. And I think Teresa's work is really wonderful on policy, particularly, and bringing discourse analysis to it. So um, Teresa, you can speak, for as long as you like. We've got an hour, but then we'll have the longer we have for questions. I'm sure we'd be delighted to make comments and questions, and we will finish at 2 o'clock. So we won't run over for people who need to run off and do other things. So without further ado, Teresa, thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Let me share my screen. So thank you very much for the kind invitation to participate in this seminar. Especially, I extend these words to Michael, and I have accepted it with pleasure. But before starting, I'd like to say a few notes, some disclaimer notes. So first of all, I'm not an expert on discourse analysis. I am just a professor of environmental planning in a department of environmental engineering. But I enjoy a lot studying and teaching how particular environmental concerns are integrated in policy documents, especially in spatial plans or in sectoral environmental plans. Uh, um, and I've been working in recent years to explore ways to transform qualitative data of these policy documents into graphical representations to facilitate the understanding of the documents and the teaching of their contents to my engineering students who usually do not like the density and the rhetoric of policy documents. And what I'm going to share with you is the result of an adventure, a research adventure, integrated in a very technological project, research project, an European research project, in which my team was the set of nerds within a technological approach, technological research. So we were the ones that dealt with policy documents within a set of researchers dealing with machines and technological approaches to reuse or treat water to be reused. And in fact, I'm going to share with you a work that I have already published. Sometimes we publish an article and we never look at it again. We never talk about it again. And it's good to revisit some of our work and to discuss about it with our colleagues. So that's why I decided to do today, and I hope you understand. And just a final note before starting. Considering the current state of the world, sometimes we look at these little studies we do and we feel that they have little value to improve the world. But anyway, I think we have to keep on living, and so it's. I think it's worthwhile anyway to do this type of research. So what I'm going to share with you today is has this title. So One Concert, Multiple Tunes, Evidences from the Circular Economy Narratives across EU member states' action plans. And basically, basically, it has this context here. So policy discourses play a central role in shaping how environmental challenges are framed and translated into policy action. So you all know this better than I do. We know now that in response to the European Commission, member states have adopted circular economy action plans to promote resource efficiency and sustainability. And so this seminar, based on the published articles, analyzes the circular economy action plans of the European Commission from 2015 and from 2020, and then of 9 member states that followed the European Commission plans. It examines how water and land concerns are embedded within the narratives of these action plans. And we do that by analyzing frequency and consistency of the integration of these concerns, and I will explain better further ahead. And so I structured the presentation into four points: the rationale and the research problem and research question, then some insights of how we designed the conceptual framework and variables for the analysis, the method and the data that we used. Then I will go through the findings that we reached, and then a discussion and final notes. Now, because I don't know what is the audience, I had to explain a little bit why to analyze water and land concerns in circular economy action plans. And so just to point out, so water, although some people forget this, water is a limited and increasingly scarce natural resource in our planet. Actually, a few days ago, I don't know if yesterday or 2 days ago, the United Nations have published a report about bankruptcy regarding water in the planet. So it is indeed a critical issue. We know that it is spread across, differently spread across the territory. It is affected by climate, by land use, by human pressures, and also by related policies, regulations, and decision-making. And in the context of circular economy, water reuse is an important aim. But water reuse generates new water loops, new types of water, new producers and users and their interlinks in the decision-making arenas, which require, in fact, very careful policies and regulations. At the same time, land is also increasingly considered a limited natural resource. And because of this, we have this EU policy of no net land take that is a very complex and critical issue that is under discussion and under research too. But we already know that land use planning can play an important role to reduce barriers to circular economy, especially regarding water, by integrating land-based resources and models, knowledge, and governance domains. So these are two aspects that are critical within a context of circular economy policy and action planning. We looked into the literature to see how these concerns are being treated in the literature, and it's really interesting to see that the scientific production of circular economy is quite big. It's counted in this scale. Then, if we cross circular economy with water, we also see, obviously at a different level, but we also see a huge increase of concerns. But then the crossing of circular economy and land is very, very, very little. But still, we could find that there is a gap, in fact, in research about how these two concerns are considered within the research on circular economy. But anyway, we can say with security that the concept of circular economy is not at all new. But it covers different environmental resources like materials that we usually know, but also water, land, air, energy, and other. This circular economy concept can contribute to the global sustainable development because it aims to reduce the use of resources, so to improve the efficiency of the use. And it became prominent at European Commission policy making. And we can see this through the adoption of circular economy action plans by the European Commission, and then the adoption of circular economy plans from member states. And as you know, the contents of policy documents may shed light on how particular concerns are being considered in the policy problem showcase, in the policy objectives, in the policy measures, and target stakeholders, and so on. So we try to find in the literature studies about this. But in fact, we realize that little is known on how current circular economy policies at European Commission and at member state levels are considering water and land. And so we decided to move on and to study, to try to explore this. So in this figure, you can see the front page of the European Commission circular economy plans from 2015 and then from 2020, and a set of member states action plans from 9 countries that we analyzed. I will present them in a minute. So what was our research question? Well, basically, we searched how water and land are embedded in the narrative of circular economy action plans of the European Commission, as I said, and of a set of member states, exploring if they develop similar narratives or have member states further develop the embeddedness of water and land concerns a bit further. So in a way, here becomes the concert and the tunes perspective. Are we playing a similar music, or are we very different, and how? So to do this, we first developed a conceptual framework and variables for analysis. So we try to secure the definitions and principles of circular economy and to see if conceptually, in fact, water and soil and land were integrated in it. And then to understand better the dimensions of a circular economy that involve reducing the impacts of consumption, reducing, in fact, the consumption, adopting innovative technologies, engaging citizens and stakeholders, and adopting policy planning instruments capable of guiding and supporting different exploitative and transformative sectors. So we need to have this theoretical support. And then we found also sort of a way to explore the plans to see how the rationale for the concept of circular economy and how it should be integrated in these action plans. And so we realized that the objectives and priorities of circular economy should be very clear. Actions and measures targeting circularity should also focus on different natural resources, including air and lands, should target relevant stakeholders, and should include a system of indicators for the follow-up of the implementation of the plans. And then we designed variables to assess in the plans. And we decided to look at the frequency of the incorporation of water and lands, related words, in the texts of the plans, the consistency of this incorporation, that is, if it is consistently incorporated in the different components of the action plans, like in the problem showcase, in the objectives, in the measures, in the targets, stakeholders, and also in the indicators to assess performance, And then we looked into combined, let's say, combined view of frequency and consistency. So this slide here briefly explains what we did in terms of analysis. So first of all, we looked into the top 10 words of each document to see if water and land are within this top 10 and which top 10 are there. And then, so this was the first stage, just to have an overlook of into the documents. And then in a second stage, we searched for every words related to water and related to land, and globally, and then the frequency, but divided into the major components of the plans. And then we tried to do a combined analysis that we called embeddedness. So let me start sharing with you the results of these 3 stages of analysis. So here we can see the top 10 words of the European Commission action plans from 15 and from 20. And these are the top 10 words. I believe you can see my cursor here. So water and land are not in the top 10 words. We can see that the top 10 words are mostly related to waste and materials, both in 15 and in 20. Water and land appear much behind. This is just an absolute counting at this stage. And then we analyzed also through word clouds what were these words. While for water, we see water reuse concerns, wastewater, water supply, water scarcity, for instance, water stress. For the land, land concerns is mostly related to landfills. It's never related to the spatial planning. Then we did the same, but for the 9 member states action plans, and we analyzed from Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Netherlands, Greece, Italy, Portugal, and Spain. These were the plans that were available in English in the European Commission site of Circular Economy Action Plans. That's why we analyzed these ones. So at that time. And you can see that what happens in the European Commission plans also happens in the member state plans. So water is far from being a top concern in the member states' action plans, although there are some differences that I will show further ahead. Then we can see also through the word clouds the actual concerns that are associated with water and land. And now we can see many more things that I will show you later, but we also can see for the land concerns that the member states' action plans are much more richer with the concerns related to land, although it's still a peripheral concern. Here in this slide, I just selected a few examples of sentences that refer to water concerns or to land concerns, just for you to understand what I'm talking about. For instance, regarding problem showcase, we have a country saying that even the efficient use of water resources is an element of significant importance of circular economy context. Or regarding the objectives, for instance, when plan says to improve water efficiency, to increase water reuse. Then we have measures like reuse of water from sludge from wastewater purifying plants, or issues regarding or examples of performance indicators regarding to recovering of phosphorus from wastewater. So this is just to explain what I'm talking about. Regarding land, for instance, within the showcase, we have one of the action plans saying a notable problem is the rapid rate of land take for development. And in the measures, one saying that spatial planning solutions can also contribute to transition to a circular economy. So this is basically things that can enlighten what we searched in and analyzed in the action plans. Now, this is one graphic that shows the percentage of water and land related words that we found in overall documents. This is percentage to normalize the results and so to disregard, obviously, the different dimensions of each document that vary significantly. So in blue are the words related to water, and in dark blue to water reuse here. And then in green, I'm representing the percentage of words related to land. And what we can, what I can share with you as main, some results from this are these topics here. So we observed a reduction of water reuse concerns in the European Commission action plans from 2015 to the plan of 2020. Then analyzing the plans themselves, we found fewer references in northern countries and higher in southern countries. I'm talking about water reuse. That was our major concern, in fact. We can see broad terms of water resources, water management or wastewater in countries like Netherlands and Italy. Then we can see also water mentioned in context of transportation in Finland or trade opportunities. But then water reuse or regenerated water or water scarcity as a national problem only happen in the southern countries, or mostly happen in the southern countries. Then regarding land, we also observe a reduction of land concerns from the European Commission Action Plan of 2015 to the 2020. And despite this, we could find few national plans that do use terms like territory, spatial, land use, or regional planning, or zones, especially Germany, Netherlands, Finland, and Portugal. And a few also refer the importance of articulation between water and land concerns for the purpose of circular economy. So we found very interesting results here, although not very well spread within the components of the plans. Then, not happy with these results, we looked how these terms were incorporated in the actual major components of a policy plan that usually are the problem showcase, the objectives, the strategies and measures, the stakeholders, the target stakeholders, and performance indicators. And here we found quite different results. And we could see that most action plans mention water in problem showcase and in measures, but few refer them as objectives of the circular economy policy. And we also saw that water terms are more consistently distributed in the various components of the plans in Germany and Portugal. That are these cases here that cover the different components, and also in the Portuguese case. The others, in fact, are very, very, very varied. Very few mention water in target stakeholders or in performance indicators, as we can see in the top of these small colors. Regarding the inclusion of land, it is very, very varied. You could not find any special pattern here, although there are interesting cases regarding the inclusion of land concerns in the French action plan. Now, we also wanted to go deeper and to do a cross analysis or combine analysis of the frequency, see how many times the words were considered. I'm looking at the water issues, and their distribution in the components of the plans. And by doing this, we identified the action plans that seem to be more robust in terms of the integration of water and land, this case in water, within the different components of the plans, and how far they are different from what happens from the European Commission plans. So we could see here a cluster of plans that do show more robustness in terms of frequency and consistency of the inclusion of water concerns. When we look into the land, as I said, it is very, very irregular, their distribution. So water and land concerns in the circular economy plans is low, impoverished in the 2020 version of the European Commission. Water is stronger in plans of Germany and in most southern countries, and land concerns are poorer and more erratic, but in France and also Italy are at the forefront. Then we wanted, in the environmental engineering departments, we like to do correlations with particular territorial features. So we did analysis of the correlation between the frequency of terms and the drought, the scarcity levels, basically. So here are the scarcity levels of water in each country, and here is the frequency of the embeddedness of water-related concerns. So we could see that regarding water, there is indeed a higher correlation with more concerns, more in countries with higher water scarcity problems. So reaching my almost the end of my presentation. So a few notes discussing these results. First of all, about the method. So the method was centered on the use of terms used by plans, leaving aside institutional contexts. We only looked in the end for territorial context. We used the English versions of the documents to facilitate the comparison because we did not know the languages of each country. But by doing this, we probably missed language particularities. We only used 9 member state action plans, so it is a very small sample of all the member state countries, but still we believe that they show interesting insights into the narratives that are adopted in this type of policy documents. And I must also recognize that the assessment of consistency, that is the number of times the words appear in the objectives, measures, target stakeholder, and so on, is prone to errors because the structure of the documents are very, very varied. Sometimes it's difficult to understand if the context is a context of measures or a context of problem showcase or a context of target stakeholders. And so to avoid this, we had different members of our team of authors that did this parallelly to try to reduce potential errors, and we somehow agreed with our own interpretations. And also further research on administrative levels and practices could shed light on this, what's going on in terms of how all the circular economy action plans at least, for instance, at regional levels or local levels do detail this more. But anyway, this was focused on the national level. But despite these limitations, and probably others that you will like to discuss with me later on, we were able to reach some conclusions taking into account the literature that we read before doing the analysis. And some of these issues are here that I'd like to point out. So first of all, that the circular economy action plans follow the literature by referring water reuse and nutrient recovery, which is a good point, but reveal scant attention to the water governance crucial for the implementation of circular economy, because they do not give robust insights or do not reflect robust insights about the critical components of the policy design of the plans. They neglect the relevance of articulating circular economy with spatial plans or industrial symbiosis, for instance. When we looked at land issues. And we were able also to find approaches to circular city or circular cities in the Circular Economy European Commission of 2020, as the literature recommends, but it's still emerging. Also that the peripheral relevance of water and land concerns in the narrative of circular economy emphasize the claim gaps of integrative approaches that the literature has been highlighting several times. So we believe that this research somehow filled the gap, or a little gap, or mentioned in the literature. So to conclude my final notes, so the design of the narrative on the circular economy may reduce potential barriers, facilitate more ecocentric and inclusive approaches to circularity, and strengthen engagement of the relevant stakeholders. And also, we believe that the graphical representation of patterns of qualitative data provides insights into plan making and policy options, and also plan analysis. And it facilitates the apprehension of what's inside a document. But let me highlight that obviously the patterns that what values in this qualitative, these quantitative representations of qualitative analysis is the differences of the patterns. Just a number of the frequency of the words in a document does not say anything at all. But the comparison of that number with other similar documents may do shed light about something. Also that neither water nor land emerged as a significant concern in circular economy action plans compared to materials or waste, nor are they consistently associated with typical components of the plans. And differences tend to emerge from contextual, in this case, territorial features that we analyzed, and probably they may also be associated with the fields of knowledge engaged in the design of these action plans that we did not analyze. But still, if these plans are to be at the forefront of water circularity, as the literature recommends, and if they are expected to offer an integrated approach of the circular economy concept, further efforts are needed in future cycles of circular economy action plans. And finally, to conclude that we believe that the different pathways that are shown in the different member states' action plans suggest that we can benefit from analyzing the plans of other countries nearby or far away, in fact, to improve the approaches to water circularity in the circular economy action plans. And so I conclude my intervention here. This is the paper that I referred, that has served as a basis for this presentation, and this is the graphical abstract that is associated to it. So thank you very much for listening, and I am open now to questions, comments, and suggestions. Thank you.